Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Cyrus, and today's video I'm going to be asking people's thoughts and seeing how much they know about a particular subject. That subject being HIV and AIDS. The reason I wanted to do this video is because I watched a series on All 4 called It's a Sin. It's written by Russell T Davies and it really touched me. It's about a group of gay people and their friends living under the fear of HIV and AIDS during the 80s. There were things that I learned watching this series that I didn't know before, which is another reason I wanted to make this video, because I feel that there are, even today, a lot of misconceptions about HIV and AIDS. I want to see how far we really have come by going around and seeing what people think of HIV and AIDS, seeing what they know about it, and just seeing how much public opinion's changed about it. So yeah, that is going to be today's video, guys. Let's jump straight into it. What are your thoughts on HIV and AIDS? Hit me with some knowledge.
It was a big thing in the 80s.
Yes.
Especially in the gay community. I believe it may have started in Africa and then spread into Europe and then it's evolved into America. Very infectious, generally sexually transmitted.
Do you know the difference between HIV and AIDS?
I believe HIV is what you get, first of all, is the infection, then it develops into AIDS.
Yeah, that's right. So basically HIV is the virus that you get first, and stage 3 HIV is known as AIDS, stage 3, which is the most advanced stage. And what happens then is basically your immune system starts to deteriorate, severely damaged, and it leaves your body vulnerable to like opportunistic infections and diseases like cancers and things like that.
Yeah.
What is your knowledge about the HIV virus and AIDS?
Absolutely minimum, unfortunately.
Do you know the difference between HIV and AIDS?
I have no idea, no.
So HIV is a virus that you catch,
Yep.
and AIDS is a word used to describe the latest stage of that virus, stage 3, the final stage.
Yep.
That basically means that the HIV virus has begun to damage your immune system,
Yep.
leaving your body vulnerable to opportunistic infections and diseases and cancers.
Having lived through the 80s, the campaign back then was all sort of homophobic, anti-gay. It was as if the only people who caught AIDS was the gay people, and half of the advertising seemed to be as if they sort of deserved it because we were doing something wrong, which is obviously absolutely horrendous, but that's what I remember from the 80s.
What's your knowledge of HIV and AIDS? What do you know about it?
Not a lot, probably not as much as I should. I obviously know it's a disease that can kill, but I know that medication's come a long way, so now it's something that people can manage and live with, and it isn't sort of the death sentence it used to be.
Do you know the difference between HIV and AIDS?
No, I don't know.
HIV is the virus that you get, and AIDS is stage 3 HIV,
Right.
which basically means that the virus, HIV virus, has damaged your immune system to such an extent that it's left it vulnerable to opportunistic diseases and cancers.
Right. People don't speak up enough about it, and it shouldn't be a taboo subject. And I know that a lot more people have it than I think we know about, and it's not a bad thing. It's just something that happens. It's just an illness.
What is your knowledge of HIV and AIDS?
I don't really know anything about it.
So do you not know the difference between HIV and AIDS?
I thought it was the same thing.
HIV is the virus that you catch, and AIDS is the final stage of that virus, stage 3, which basically means that the HIV virus has damaged your immune system so much that it's leaving your body vulnerable to opportunistic infections, diseases, cancers.
HIV turns into AIDS.
AIDS is basically used to describe when the virus has lowered your immune system. Do you think that more people should be talking about it today? Do you think that people should be having safer sex? What's your opinions on that?
Safer sex, yeah, definitely. I guess that makes sense. In terms of, then what was your other question? More like talking about it more?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. How do you think like the best way to go about doing that is?
I recommend watching It's a Sin.
I've watched that. That was I did learn a lot about that. Sorry.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
But what made me want to do this was watching that,
Yeah.
because I thought I knew quite a lot about the subject already, and then I realised that there's so much that I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it kind of made me want to raise awareness. So I think the best way to do it is just to talk to people. So guys, what's your knowledge of HIV and AIDS? What do you know about it?
Oh, okay, quite a broad question. So, knowledge of HIV and AIDS. I think we've probably learned a lot more about it recently because of the research that we've been doing for the podcast. I mean, the general knowledge I would say is maybe that it's not really spoken about that much in the public, and then there's definitely still a massive stigma about it. My knowledge from having friends who are HIV positive is that it's something that in this country we're very lucky that it's dealt with quite, it's easily, what's the word I'm thinking of? Treated. Very easily treated. But I think I would say maybe the stigma causes people a lot more issues than the actual maybe medical side of it. And if you're undetectable as well.
See, that's something that I learned recently as well. Something I also learned in more detail recently is the difference between HIV and AIDS. Do you know the difference? Do you want me to say what I think it is?
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Basically, what my knowledge of it is, HIV is the virus that you first get. AIDS is stage 3 HIV. AIDS is a term used to describe when HIV has progressed to its latest stage and it's starting to damage your immune system, leaving your body vulnerable to opportunistic infections and cancers and diseases. That's my knowledge of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely, I mean, you put it in a way better way than I would have said anything, to be honest.
What's your knowledge of HIV and AIDS? What do you know about it?
Probably not a huge knowledge. I know that it's more prevalent amongst homosexual men, but I'm not sure that's the idea I get. And I know there's medication for it now, and that it's easily treatable if it's diagnosed early.
Do you know the difference between HIV and AIDS?
I don't know.
Would you like to know the difference?
Yeah, of course, definitely.
HIV is basically the virus you catch. It can be caught through unprotected sex or sharing needles, things like that. And basically AIDS is the name given to the final stage of HIV, stage 3.
Yeah, I think, like you said, talking about it more, I think it would be a huge sort of step to be able to recognise that, I know, to be able to like have that conversation more openly and realise it's just like a sort of normal thing to talk about, and that's quite a healthy conversation to have.
So what's your knowledge of HIV and AIDS?
My knowledge came from quite a traumatic period in my life when a friend of mine was, shall we say, violated, and as a consequence became HIV positive. In consequence to that, I became a lot more aware. Not for a second did it make me question or cast any kind of judgment on the community in large. But it did make me more aware because it forced me to look into it and make me more aware and supportive of how I could help my friend. It has made me more empathic, more sympathetic, and more expansive in my knowledge of that condition.
I'm so sorry to hear about your friend. Forgive me, but could I just ask, when you say violated, do you mean that they were assaulted?
Yes, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
They were sexually assaulted, thank you. And it was a terrible time, and the consequences were awful. But, I mean, as a result, as I say, it's not often that something terrible doesn't give birth to something better. And so now I myself am much more aware of how it can touch our lives, and I am a lot more sympathetic and knowledgeable about people's plight. You know, I was around in the 80s and I remember that whole campaign, which was really dehumanizing, and certainly they targeted the gay community at that time. And it was put into question like the whole concept of the gay community being viable humans, to be honest. And it was only once It then kind of spread into the heterosexual community that, to be honest, it was taken more seriously. It took an awful lot of time before people realised that you didn't have these people that had the morals of alley cats. It was happening to normal people. Really was it taken seriously? I'm going back to the 90s when one of my best friends was a nurse from Wales. And my friend was bathing an HIV patient, said, "I'm not washing that."
Oh my goodness.
And that's in the 90s. So that's actually not that long ago. This is not a consequence of a dissolute life. It can happen literally to anyone.
Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or if you learned something from it, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and click that bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. Also, please follow me on my socials. They are on screen now. See you next time. Be safe and be kind. Bye.